Isaiah Buggs, a 27-year-old football player, was released from his position as the defensive lineman by the Kansas City Chiefs just 3 months after he was signed. Well, many people were aware of that, but what they don't fully understand is why he was released and what prompted a somewhat drastic decision from the City Chiefs. Every team has a set of rules as well as standards the players have to live up to, and when these standards are not met, the team's left with no other option but to let the player go, especially if it was affecting the team negatively. This was exactly the case with Isaiah Buggs. You see, the behavior of the players in a team sends a direct message to the world about the kind of behavior the team promotes, and the behavior of Isaiah Buggs completely crossed the line. First, he was arrested on the count of animal cruelty, and just a month later, he was arrested and charged with second-degree domestic violence. This is the twisted case of Kansas City Chiefs Isaiah Buggs. Isaiah Buggs was born on August 24, 1996, into a loving and supportive family in Ruston, Louisiana. His childhood was near perfect, filled with warmth, love, and every opportunity to thrive. Growing up in a small town, Isaiah was surrounded by the comforts of a close-knit community, where everyone knew each other's names and neighbors became like extended family. As he grew, Isaiah developed a passion for football, and his natural talent was evident from an early age. He attended Ruston High School, where he honed his skills on the field, becoming a standout player and earning the admiration of his coaches and teammates. Football became an integral part of his life, teaching him valuable lessons about discipline, hard work, and teamwork. After graduating from high school, Isaiah's love for the sport only intensified, and he went on to attend Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. There, he continued to excel in football, making a name for himself in the collegiate athletics scene. Isaiah Buggs' ability to adapt and thrive in new environments was evident when he transferred to a new school in 2015, where he didn't know anyone. Despite the initial uncertainty, he quickly settled in and made a circle of friends. His passion for football led him to join the school's team, and he became an important part of the squad, playing through 2015 and 2016. During his time at the community college, he demonstrated his exceptional skills on the field, racking up an impressive 134 tackles and 7.5 sacks. Isaiah Buggs, however, faced a harsh reality after graduating high school. Despite his impressive skills on the field, Division I college football offers were scarce due to the intense competition and limited opportunities in the world of college sports. Undeterred, Buggs took his talents to Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College, where he continued to shine and make a name for himself. His success at the community college level finally caught the attention of top-tier programs, and Buggs found himself being courted by 3 of the most esteemed institutions in the Southeast: Alabama, Auburn, and LSU. For many young players from Louisiana, the dream's to compete at the highest level, and Buggs was no exception. His dream was to be among the best, and the opportunity to play for one of these legendary programs was a chance he couldn't pass up. After careful consideration, Buggs made the decision to spend his final 2 years of eligibility under the guidance of Coach Nick Saban at the University of Alabama. It was the right choice because it helped in his development as a player and a person, as he poured his heart into the Crimson Tide's storied tradition of excellence and dedicated himself to reaching new heights. As a Crimson Tide player, Isaiah Buggs played a major role in his team's success, starting 13 of 14 games in his first season and contributing to the team's victory in the 2018 College Playoff National Championship over Georgia. When asked about how life away from the field felt, Buggs replied saying, "As I look back on my journey, I realize that when I step onto the field, something takes over. I become a different person, driven by the memories of those who doubted me, overlooked me, and rejected me. That intensity fuels my passion and drive to prove myself and show the world what I'm capable of. But away from the field, I'm a different story. I'm no longer an intense, focused athlete. I'm just a regular guy, grateful for the opportunities I've had and humbled by the experiences that have shaped me. Whether I'm walking around the University of Alabama campus or out in the Tuscaloosa community, I try to carry a smile and a sense of gratitude, knowing that I'm blessed to be where I am today. It's funny how life works out. The same fire that drives me on the field is the same flame that warms my heart off of it. I'm just trying to make the most of every moment and be the best version of myself, both on and off the field. Being the youngest of 3 boys, I was the only one to graduate high school, and am now about to graduate college. About making his mom happy, Bugs said, "Every time I step out on the field, it's for her. No matter where I'm at, she is always first. She's the first woman in my life. That's not going to change. Anything I do will be for her." After a successful first season, Bugs took on a leadership role in pushing to create another national title in the fall. Although he was not given fair attention at first, taking the JUCO route made a man out of Isaiah Bugs, and it was the reason why many respected him. "I've been in the system for a minute now," he said. "After leaving JUCO and coming here, I bought into the program. I did what I was supposed to do. I followed Coach Saban's standard at Alabama, and now I'm a senior, and it's my time to step up. Going to JUCO helped me because you had to learn how to survive on your own." Isaiah Bugs played football at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College and did very well. In 2 seasons, he made 134 tackles, 18 for a loss, and 7.5 sacks. He was great at reading the game and making plays. Going into his senior year at the University of Alabama, experts thought he would have a great season. They expected him to make a big impact on the team's defense. Bugs was determined to make a name for himself in football. He was a top prospect, and people were excited to see what he could do. With each game, Bugs proved himself to be a great player. He was on his way to becoming a football star. Meanwhile, outside the field, his life was great. Isaiah met Kennedy Taylor when he was out with friends. They liked each other and spent the day together. They started dating, and after a few weeks of dating, they fell in love. They had a lot in common and enjoyed talking, especially because Taylor had a liking for football players. Isaiah liked Kennedy's smile, and Kennedy Taylor liked Isaiah's jokes. Taylor, who was born and raised in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, was born into a poor and broken family. Her father was absent for most of her childhood, and her mother struggled with depression. Taylor, from an early age, had to learn to fend for herself and her siblings. The only figure she could turn to for moral support was her grandmother, who played a significant role in her upbringing and taught her almost everything she knew. She attended Tuscaloosa County High School, where she was an average student but an excellent basketball player. She was a point guard and team captain. The way she played the sport almost seemed as if it was her way of forgetting her problems. It was her safe space. After high school, she received a partial scholarship to play basketball at a local community college, an opportunity she could have only dreamed of. However, she struggled academically and dropped out after her freshman year. Taylor's life hadn't been easy before she met Isaiah Bugs. Her past was full of struggles and many challenges. Even though she seemed tough on the outside, she had a soft spot for sports, and her love for football was one thing that brought her comfort. When she met Isaiah, she was immediately drawn to him. Not only was she impressed by his skills on the field, but she was also touched by his kind and caring nature. As they spent more time together, she began to feel like she had finally found a sense of peace and stability. As someone who had experienced a lot of sadness in her past, Taylor had always dreamed of having a beautiful and loving family of her own one day. She longed for a life filled with love, laughter, and happiness, where she could feel safe and supported. And as she got to know Isaiah better, she began to see him as a potential partner in building that life. In 2019, Taylor found out that she was pregnant for Isaiah Bugs. When she found out about this, she was so excited that the very first person she contacted was Isaiah. She told him that she was pregnant with his child and that they were going to have a family. Taylor had always dreamed of building a loving family, and when she discovered she was pregnant with Isaiah Bugs' child, she thought her dream was finally within reach. Even though they weren't married yet, she believed they could grow into a happy family. But her excitement was short-lived. When she shared the news with Isaiah, she was met with a response she had never expected. His response was cold, emotionless, and lacked any form of warmth or enthusiasm. Taylor was completely shocked by the response she was given, but she found a way to convince herself that he was just processing the news and would eventually come around. Even after Bugs had shown how much he didn't care, she chose to ignore Isaiah's cold and nonchalant reaction, hoping that once their child was born, he would finally embrace the role as a father and partner. She imagined that the sight of their tiny bundle of joy would melt his heart, and he would finally show the love and devotion she had been longing for. But sadly, that never happened. In fact, the child never came. While in her second trimester, Taylor suffered a miscarriage, and her health deteriorated. She was down, both emotionally and physically. At that time, she needed Isaiah the most, but even when she reached out to him, all she got was a lack of emotional support. But again, she turned a blind eye to it, claiming that their love would pull through the difficult times. She focused on her health, and after a month, she was back on her feet again. As their relationship continued, the level of physical and emotional abuse only grew, and eventually, it became a never-ending nightmare for Taylor. Isaiah's behavior grew more controlling and menacing. It was so bad that it slowly broke her sense of self-worth. He would frequently belittle her, making her feel small and insignificant, and dictate where she could go, when she could leave the house, and even who she could interact with. Taylor's world had been turned upside down. She had become isolated from her friends and was too afraid to face her family, fearing that they would judge her. The only connection she had left was her relationship with Isaiah, and she felt trapped and dependent on it. She couldn't bear the thought of losing the one person she thought cared about her, even if that care came with a heavy price, her own well-being. But finally, after months of suffering in silence, Taylor realized that the relationship might be the end of her. She found the strength within herself to walk out of the toxic relationship. In April 2024, she ended the relationship, filing a restraining order against Isaiah Buggs to protect herself from further harm. This was the end of a long and painful chapter in her life, one filled with emotional and physical abuse that had left her scarred, or so she thought. Taylor found the strength to go to the police and tell them about the terrible things Isaiah had done to her. She had been hurt by him many times, but she had proof of one specific incident that happened on June 25, 2023. She showed the police a picture of her face, bleeding and swollen, after Isaiah had punched her during a fight. When Isaiah Buggs was first questioned by the authorities about the incident regarding Miss Kennedy Taylor, he completely denied any knowledge of it. He even went so far as to claim that he did not know when Taylor was hurt, and he acted like he had no idea what they were talking about. But as time went on, more evidence against Isaiah Buggs came out, and things started to look worse and worse for him. In March 2024, the police in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, got a call about two dogs that had been left alone on a property owned by Isaiah Buggs. When the officers arrived at the scene, they were met with a heartbreaking and disgusting sight. A pit bull and a Rottweiler mix were stuck on Buggs' property, surrounded by their own waste, with no food or water around for them. It was clear that the dogs had been left there for over a week. They were severely dehydrated, almost to the point of death. The poor dogs were weak and clearly suffering, and it was obvious that they had been neglected for a long time. In fact, the neighbors who called the police stated that the pit bull was left on the porch for at least 10 days without access to food or water. And the Rottweiler, coupled with the fact that it was left for 10 days without food or water, was also in a metal cage under the hot sun. The police were shocked and disgusted by the conditions they found the dogs in, and they knew they had to take action. When Isaiah Buggs was arrested, his complete denial and attempted cover-up had only made things worse, and he was going to face serious consequences for his actions. The authorities took swift and serious action, filing 2 warrants alleging second-degree cruelty to dogs against Isaiah Buggs. His agent attempted to deflect responsibility, claiming that the dogs did not belong to his client and that Buggs was unaware that the dogs remained on the property after he left. However, the judge was not convinced by this explanation, seeing through the weak defense. Following a prolonged period of negotiations and legal back and forth with law enforcement, Isaiah Buggs finally surrendered on May 30, 2024, confessing to his role in the neglect and abuse of the dogs. He was subsequently arrested and later released on a $600 bond. A really small punishment considering how bad his crime was and how angry everyone who heard about it was. Sadly, one of the dogs, the pit bull, had to be euthanized due to its increasingly aggressive behavior and failure to respond to treatment for heartworms. The Rottweiler, who was 3 years old, weighed only 52 pounds, and tested positive for canine parvovirus, further complicating the Buggs issue with the police and social media. As bad as that entire incident may sound, Isaiah Buggs' issues wouldn't end there. In fact, they would only get worse. On June 16, 2024, Buggs was arrested and charged with second-degree domestic violence and burglary. Apparently, he violently broke into the house of Miss Kennedy Taylor by smashing the window with the iron from a car tire, went upstairs to her, and after a long argument, he then proceeded to beat her up and drag her down the stairs, leaving her with injuries and scratches all over her body. Immediately after the incident, Kennedy Taylor, still shaken by the attack, got her phone and contacted the police to report the assault. She gave the police a detailed account of what just happened between her and Isaiah Buggs, and her statement was met with an immediate response from the authorities. Officers arrived at the scene just minutes after she called, quickly arrested Isaiah Buggs, and took him into custody without incident. As the officers escorted Buggs away in handcuffs, Taylor was left with her thoughts. She worried about how this event would affect Buggs, and above all, how it would affect his career. This was Isaiah Buggs' second arrest in less than 6 months. The first arrest had been a wake-up call. This second incident was a reminder that Buggs' behavior was not only harmful, but also persistent. The arrest complicated Buggs' personal and professional lives in more ways than one. His reputation, which was already tarnished by the previous incident, was now further destroyed by this second offense of his. The legal consequences were also severe, with the possibility of a felony conviction and a lengthy prison sentence. The $5,000 bond that secured his release was a mere temporary solution, as he knew he would have to face a lot of difficulties ahead of him. He would be walking a road filled with court cases and other legal issues. On June 24, 2024, the Kansas City Chiefs announced that they had released Buggs from the team. The decision was clearly influenced by his recent legal troubles and the negative attention they brought to the organization. The Chiefs initially signed Isaiah Buggs in January 2024, with the aim of strengthening their defensive line for the upcoming season. At the time, they were particularly interested in evaluating Isaiah Buggs' potential contribution to the team, especially since Neil Farrell was the only other defensive tackle under contract beyond the year. The experience and skills Isaiah Buggs possessed were seen as valuable skills that could enhance the Chiefs' defensive strategies. That was the main reason they considered signing him beyond a year. However, the off-field issues Buggs kept on having, coupled with the bad name he brought to the team, made his contribution seem like nothing when compared to the value he brought to the team. The Chiefs, like many NFL teams, have a zero-tolerance policy towards domestic violence and other forms of misconduct. Given the gravity of the accusations against Buggs and the potential outcome of the entire incident, the Chiefs decided that it would be better to let him go rather than keep him and receive bad reviews and comments from the public. Getting released by the Chiefs was a big blow for Isaiah Buggs. He's not going to recover soon, and the cases against him are still ongoing as of today, June 28, 2024. With no other updates available on the case, we're left to watch from the sidelines as the case of Isaiah Buggs slowly unfolds. That's it for today. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you won't miss our next video. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.